Samantha Kane lives in a small town with her daughter. 8 years ago, she emerged 2 months pregnant from a nearby river with no memory of her past or who she is. However, she's getting closer to finding out her past. The Long Kiss Goodnight is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inside Movies. I'm your host, George Michail. I'm a comic book writer, joined by novelist Andrew Buckley, writer-illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK, and the editor-in-chief of Merc Publishing, Murphey. Thanks for being on. Thanks for being on the show, everyone. And let's get into it. Let's talk about the good. What do we like about the Long Kiss Goodnight?
Geena Davis.
Yeah, I was gonna say any movie with Geena Davis. Yes. Go, Murphy, go.
I love her. I love her smile. She's got such a big personality, and she's just I love her as the nice, sweet Sam, and then as the just intense what was it, Charlie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? She's great. I love her. And her co-starring her boobs was also fantastic. They were just all over the place.
She's like 6 feet tall, and she's muscular, and she's beautiful, and she's charismatic. And I would have loved to have seen her play in like more action movie roles. Like, this woman was like made for action. And I don't know, like when she's like being tortured on that like water wheel thing, and she comes up like shooting, I'm like, that is an action movie star right there.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe that she wasn't in more action movies. And from what you were saying about her being tall, this is a really weird thing for me to notice. But at the end of the film, when she's sitting on like the picnic table with her husband, her feet are huge. I was like, wow. I don't think, not in a bad way. I was like, oh, look at that.
Those are ass-kicking feet.
They are.
They're ass-kicking feet. Geena Davis. This movie caught me way off guard the first time I saw it. I think I saw it late night television. I was a latchkey kid, so my parents were out somewhere. I was home. I was up late. I should not have been watching The Long Kiss Goodnight, but I didn't know that's what it was. I was channel surfing, and I remember it's like, oh, it's some woman, and she's like cutting vegetables. And then when she starts cutting them super fast, I remember becoming engaged in the film, being like, oh, what is this strange film? And the first time I saw it, I only saw it from the tomato cutting scene to the end, where like she activates her crazy ninja powers. And I had never seen an action movie, starring a woman, had such command of what kind of film it wanted to be, right from the very moment it decides to go there. It just keeps going right to the end. Oh man. And Geena Davis won my heart in that film for sure.
She was great, and she was meant to launch this. The whole point of this movie, or part of the point of this movie, was to actually launch or encourage more females to do action movies. Because originally, the original casting was like supposed to be like Steven Seagal or some other bullshit action actor, male actor.
Wait, Steven Seagal would have been 2 months pregnant, emerging from the river?
Yes, he would have. Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Because that's how good of an actor he is. He could pull that off. But so they switched it to a female protagonist, and Geena Davis, who they just shot Cutthroat Island. Is that the pirate thing?
Yeah,
with their husband,
which bombed like really badly. So then they were really, really nervous about doing this one with her, because they didn't think people would buy her as an action star. But it played off really well, because she's excellent.
And we got to talk about Sam Jackson as Mitch Hennessy. He's a smooth talker, a wisecracker. He's got like all the best lines in the movie. This is actually Samuel L. Jackson's favorite movie role, which he said on like the Tonight Show a couple years ago. And I'm like, that's a weird one to pick, but I'll go with it. I like that he feels like he's never done anything right in his whole life. And that like one little scene at the beginning of the movie just shows him like, it gives that character so much depth, because, he's been kind of a screw up to his own kid. And then, he's got to come through and like make the hero play at the end. And he's an awesome character. I just love him in this role.
It felt like we got every side of Samuel L. Jackson in this movie, like from the just you know, shit talking, throwing F-bombs out every chance he gets to like, and I was really surprised in the scene where she goes to like save him and they've got him hogtied, like naked. I never thought I would see that scene, and to see him like, I've never seen Samuel L. Jackson like really like show off like that sort of like fear in a role. It was just, this something that was like really, he had a whole lot of emotional depth in it, and I loved it. I loved every scene with him. He was fantastic.
Yeah, and Samuel L. Jackson is such a powerful presence in any movie. Whatever film he's in, he steals every scene usually, and that's a testament to Geena Davis's like star power here. Is that he's shining as brightly as he's ever shined on screen, and she's still the star. I think that's just their chemistry as like the buddy cop vibe that they have. It's flawless. I just like that movie so much.
Does anyone do Crazy Eyes better than Samuel L. Jackson?
Like maybe Geena Davis. Maybe Geena Davis. Come on, how amazing is it that scene where the deer flips over?
And kicks through the window.
Them in the face. I've been in those accidents, so that actually is super traumatizing to like witness again in close up like that. But holy shit, that scene, such a great. Right.
Murphy looks really concerned, but it's like that's a regular thing in Canada. Hitting a deer.
Oh yeah, you run over deer all the time.
Weekly. I hit one on the way here. It's ridiculous.
This week. That's actually how roll top cars were invented. Was in Canada. You just put them down so that the deer just goes right over.
I would say I don't know the actor's name, but the villain. That not the engagement guy, that not Donald, but the main villain that she's fighting at the end.
Tim?
Smiley Teeth.
Mr. Smiley
love
Teeth.
him as a villain. He's just so, he's got it like kind of like a I feel like he is what inspired Ryan Reynolds to be an actor. You know, like he's got that same kind of airy, fun vibe. Like the guy, oh, so I got shot. I think I'm dying. Continue dying. Out. Like. I loved him. He was kind of a fun comedic vibe, just still being like a real like asshole. I enjoyed him a lot.
I think a lot of that is due to Shane Black's script. Like it's just so fun and snappy, and the characters are all smart. The dialogue's great, and there's like callbacks that you won't see coming. And or maybe you do see them coming, but you don't care anyways because when they hit, it's like that's awesome. I love it. He's one of my favorite writers.
He sold his script for $4 million. It was his highest payday ever. And one of the most expensive scripts ever sold in Hollywood, weirdly enough.
That I did not know. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Was it a box office hit?
It was semi. It wasn't like crazy. It wasn't as big as what they projected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still, I mean, it was kind of driving up the star power of Geena Davis at the time because she was in a lot of shit back then. Mostly with her husband or produced by her husband. And Samuel Jackson was, again, well, he's still in everything now. Nothing's really changed. I guess he's just been in everything for the last 3 decades. I have a point that was on my bad list, then I moved it to my good list, then I put it back on my bad list, and then put it back in the good list. Mitch should have died. He was strapped to a chair. He got blown out of a 3rd-story window, through a sign, into a tree, and then 10 minutes later was shot twice. There's no way he should have survived.
He looked pretty bad off.
Yeah, but you should have been dead.
Yeah. I'm happy that he survived though. I mean,
me too, but as soon as he hit that sign, I'm like, oh, he's done.
In a movie where there's a chase scene with like speed skates, are we worried that Samuel L. Jackson gets blown through a thing and survives? Like, this is what I mean. Like, the film's kind of knew what it wanted to be. It wanted to elevate this comedic, almost slapstick level of violence and one-liners, and it pauses for the one-liners, and it pauses for the violence, and it pauses to make the murders funny instead of horrific, which normally I don't like, but for some reason Geena Davis movie just pulls it off.
Another thing that I like is GMB CHOMICHUK's comic books. Greg, can you tell us a little bit about your newest offerings?
Well, you don't say, George. The newest book out for me, which you can find everywhere fine comic books are sold, is called The Eye Collector. It's out from Heavy Metal. Issue 1 to 5 is available in print right now. I actually just put to bed pages for issue 7, so find The Eye Collector. It's waiting for you. my kids also are not allowed to see me working on it because they're scared of it.
And I've included a link in the description of this video to Heavy Metal and the Eye Collector. So click that link and go buy Greg's work. Let's get into the bad. What do we not like about The Long Kiss Goodnight?
There weren't 4 sequels.
Yeah.
How many goddamn diehards did we have? You know, all deference to Bruce Willis, whom I also adored in the 80s. Why do we not have many sequels to The Long Kiss Goodnight?
I will say this did not age well.
Nope, that's true.
They have a lot for, you know, and knowing that this movie was made to kind of open a doorway for women in action movies, I can appreciate it for that. But you know, Samuel L. Jackson like almost running them off the road to look at a runner who's bouncing, and the one
guys
that
never do that.
Yeah, the one. Well,
that's how you hit a deer.
The one that really the one that really got me though was when she's about to go and like save her daughter, and she goes, "They're gonna blow my head off. This is the last day I'm ever gonna be pretty again." And it's like, is that what she would be thinking about right now?
I agree with you that seems a little bit problematic. I have a question. Isn't that supposed to be the kind of bad version of herself that she kills over the course of the movie? That's like the last vestige of that. And doesn't in the scene where Samuel L. Jackson like ogles that girl, he's sort of the villain of that moment. And she like makes fun of him for being like a lecherous jerk. So were they trying to subvert that and giving Geena Davis agency to say like, listen, this bullshit should stop here?
The Charlie Baltimore voice, when she first starts doing it, especially in the beginning of the movie when she's talking to herself in the mirror in like her dream, I was like, this is not good. This is pretty hokey. It grew on me, the persona of Charlie Baltimore, especially once they get to Atlantic City or whatever. I started going with it, but when she was just kind of coming out in like little phases, I was like, no, this is it just seemed really cheesy.
Yeah, definitely in the bad. Dream sequences in the 80s are all like that. They all have a mirror. They all have smoke. They all have like a black back. What the fuck, 80s movies? Why do all the dream sequences look like this? What was going on? I didn't like that at all. You could cut that out and everything was still completely intact as a story.
As a story, though, I don't think it was the Bourne Identity with Geena Davis. Like, it wasn't anything new. And
no, the Bourne Identity is Long Kiss Goodnight.
No, it's not. Ludlum wrote that book way before this movie came out. But even then, the whole the bad guy story, I can't even really recall. It was terrorists have a bomb, blah blah blah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a false flag. They're going to bomb themselves so they can get funding for the military.
I did like that they straight up were like, oh, you know what they did with the towers? Yeah, we're going to do that. It's like, whoa. I was not expecting them to just dive so hard into that sort of conspiracy theory territory.
That is kind of my biggest complaint about the movie is like the villains are a little bit forgettable. It's like her former CIA coworkers and they're going to stage a terrorist attack. And like, if they didn't kidnap her daughter, she doesn't really have any agency to like do anything about it. Like, it's just like, other than like trying to save lives, but I don't even think they were planning on, like, I guess they said they were going to kill people, but they didn't have to. It could have just been a bomb in the middle of nowhere. And like Niagara Falls seems like a random place to have a terrorist attack because it's like an outdoor setting that it just seems strange. For me, the kind of the ending with the villains, it just didn't really pull it together as tightly as it should have.
Yeah, the final set piece was a little strange, although I did like the whole swinging on the light.
Yeah.
Shooting. Yeah, that
was pretty cool. The original script was way darker. There was a lot more real dark stuff. Samuel Jackson had a horrible backstory where he was in prison and he'd been sexually assaulted in prison, and that factored into the story. Like,
you're making that up.
I promise you.
It makes
the
sense
original
with the line when you first see him, where he's like, "I'm going to send you to prison. You're gonna get like just it pretty much just straight up says you're gonna get raped, and if you don't go to prison, then I'm going to send someone to rape you." Like, that line makes a lot of sense.
That actually does.
His actual backstory.
I never thought about that. That's true. And he also died in the original script. Like they killed off Samuel Jackson's, and they actually they shot him dying, but then test audiences rebelled, and they did it so much that they modified it, so he ended up on Larry King instead. So.
Yeah, Greg, you mentioned it earlier about the ice skating across the lake. That is not good. That's so
you know
cheesy.
how long it takes to lace up those skates?
Exactly. I have a daughter in ringette, and it takes a long time to put on skates, well, especially on a kid. And she's just ripping across that lake, racing against the car, and I'm just like, come on.
Well, did they even show her putting them on? That's where I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, wait, was she wearing skates already? Did I miss that?
She's actually in skates for the whole first third of the movie.
Yeah,
that's why she's so tall. She's actually not 6'2". She's 5'9". Hey, Greg, you'll like this fact because I didn't notice it either, but her name is Samantha Cain. Sam Cain is an anagram for amnesiac.
Oh, come on.
No, it's true.
That is too good. I'm going to tell everyone that I always knew that right from a kid. I figured that out. That's part of my backstory now.
All right, let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for The Long Kiss Goodnight.
I give this one. It's still a solid action movie. I still really enjoy it. It's one of my favorites to just randomly watch occasionally. So I give it 4 Samuel L. Jackson's getting shot out of a window out of 5.
Nice.
And I would definitely say that this movie blew away young Gregory's expectations. Old Gregory, despite its flaws, really, really still likes it. So I'll give it 4 out of 5 deer through the windshields.
I'm going to give it a B for myself. I think it's a fun 90s action movie with witty dialogue, fun characters, cool action scenes. And to me, it holds up pretty good upon rewatching. It's snappy and fun. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. 5
out of 6 expertly chopped vegetables. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It has its problems, but if you watch it and you know the time that came from, it's super enjoyable.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. I've been George Michail, joined by Andrew Buckley, GMB CHOMICHUK, and Murphey. Go check out The Eye Collector, GMB CHOMICHUK's newest offering. Link in the description of this video, and follow us along on our Facebooks, our Instagram, our Twitters, and all that stuff. Also in the description of this video. Until next time, peace.